Hey, it's Braden, and I'm here with Logan Jermina Poindexter. I don't know if that's a real name, but it is now.
Jeremiah. What am I from
And
the swamps now?
and this is
Wait a minute, Doc. Are you telling me you built a time machine?
My mom always said life was like a box of chocolate. Help, please, Werner.
Absolutely.
Gobsmack.
how are you today, Logan?
Good. You might want to take the mic and put it like another 3 inches away from your mouth. But no, doing all right. Yeah, missed the show for sure.
Yeah,
I've been
we didn't miss
replaced.
you.
I've been replaced by far funnier people, but it is what it is.
You know what? You don't have to be funny to be funny. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm that petty because you've replaced me.
So, how was your vacation?
Absolutely horrible. I never got to take it. My dad's truck broke down. So I was just stuck with my family. Yeah, trying to leave the state. Never even got out of the state. I was going to go to Montana and never even got out of Texas. I mean, it was absolutely fantastic. I was stuck in Amarillo for 2 days, which I don't know if anybody's, for anybody who's listening that's been to Amarillo, you know that there's absolutely nothing there other than dirt and terrible roads. Whoever designed that, the roads there, by the way, and yes, I don't care how much, people are going to call me out for this and hate me and whatever, but the civic engineer is absolutely stupid. It ended up being good because we went to the lake in Whitney, so it ended out pretty good, but at the beginning was terrible.
Oh, that's what I should have called you. Logan Whitney Poindexter.
Next
That'd have been
week.
good. Okay. Oh, I'll save it. Maybe I'll change it to Whitney just to mix it up.
Whitney. That's racism.
You missed the last episode where we talked about our top 5 movie scores. And I know that nobody cares what yours are, but since so many people care, I wanted you to just go bang, bang, bang. What are your top 5 movie scores of all time?
All right, well, I'll go bang, 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 and then I'll talk about my favorite one a little bit more in depth. Planet of the Apes, because, I mean, I'm stereotypical 21-year-old white male, so...
Wait, which Planet of the Apes?
OG.
Ah, that's a good one.
Mm-hmm. The Avengers theme, because, I mean, again, growing up with these superheroes, Iron Man and stuff, and we're going to go get into the director of Iron Man a little bit in today's discussion, little teaser, but no, I mean, Avengers just becoming a classic very easily.
Okay, number 3.
Jurassic World, actually. More Jurassic World than the original, and I know that's going to trigger a few people, but honestly, like, the slow methodical, like, they'd slow it down to where I know it doesn't take a lot of originality, but I think it just works so much better because then there's like that fear with the wonder, and but anyways, bang, 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 bang. The fourth one, Phantom Menace, because Duel of Fates is amazing. Enough said. And then finally, my very favorite is all of A New Hope, because for a lot of people probably find this out, I'm very passionate about Star Wars, which I have some things to say about what was said when I wasn't here, but anyways, we can discuss that another day.
But I'm curious. What are you talking about?
Well, just I'll agree with the Clone Wars was trash, but as far as writing, for people's emotions and stuff, but dude, Revenge of the Sith was just, I don't know, that one was really well written just because the Clone Wars now ties it in so well, like everything just, it just all comes down so fast. Like you didn't expect it. And again, I think I've told you that was the first movie I remember seeing in theaters. I don't even remember seeing the actual movie, just the build up to it, like waiting in line with my dad and my family and stuff. It was just, that movie is just so iconic to me that I will argue that point all day. But anyways,
Okay, well, I don't think anyone's arguing that the story is bad. I think that the story flows together through all the Star Wars, at least the first 6. It flows together very well. I mean, that was George Lucas's, ultimate plan. I'm sure that was in his head from day one. Was the whole story. He had it together already. So I think the story itself, I'd have nothing against it, and I think that Revenge of the Sith is one of the great action-packed movies. I think it has a lot of good action scenes. The lightsaber fights are top-notch, and really I think it's the best of any Star Wars movie, of course, because of how many there are and how well choreographed they are. So nobody's arguing with that. I think the argument was the dialogue that Hayden Christensen was given. Was a little weak compared to, typical movie dialogue from a good movie, a good director.
well, and even with that, I think I'll agree with you halfway. I'll agree that there definitely could have been better. I think that he's not the best of actors. There's definitely better ones out there. But I think it was I think it's given a lot less credit than it deserves. His lines. What really ties into my mind is the scene when Padme tells him that she's pregnant, and like that, his face, like that whole dad vibe, like, oh crud, oh yes, oh crud, oh well, no, this is good thing. This is a good thing. Like you see that go across his face like that, and I think it was way better written than Clone Wars for sure.
Well, yeah, I think the argument was that Attack of the Clones was worse as far as dialogue and action and story than Episode 3. I think we made that point that it did get a little better in Episode 3, but especially Episode 2. Hayden Christensen, the actor, was really roasted, almost as much as Jar Jar Binks.
Yeah,
with the whole sand and its coarse and gets everywhere and
the
it's
creepy
hot.
eyes.
I love sand and it feels good on my body, something like that. He says something like that, but yeah, that whole spiel.
All right, I'll agree with that. I'll let that one slide.
Yeah, so that's your top 5, huh? Your top 5 film scores. Nice. Okay, let's get into it. Since we missed Logan so much and all of his blah 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 talking, we're gonna give him the keys to this episode. He's done some research, I should say. He's got something he wants to talk about. He really's been wanting to get it off of his chest for a while now. So I'll go ahead and hand it to you, Logan. What are we talking about today?
Well, we're talking about one of the most ambitious and worst production movies that has ever existed. And so whenever you think of the production was a nightmare, the movie was delayed, what movie would you think of?
Oh, wow. Production delayed? How about the Avatar movies, the sequels?
Oh, that's true. That's true. You know what? That might be a good topic for another day.
Well, it hasn't come out yet, so.
Yeah. Well, and that's what I mean is another day. That's a good one, but I don't know. This is a movie that isn't really well known because it's a different type of movie. The director, his style is different for a lot of people's tastes. A lot of people want action packed or really hard driven story. They don't really like the quiet, more methodical version of directing. But this movie, Fitzcarraldo, by Werner Herzog, back in 1982, back whenever he was young. And you might know him from a TV show such as The Mandalorian, or he was the bad guy in Jack Reacher, the first one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the guy with the missing fingers and I think his name was the Zek.
You mean the man with no arms, no legs?
No.
He couldn't see, he couldn't hear?
He had no arms or legs. He couldn't see, hear, or speak. This is how we led a nation.
No, he can still do stuff. He just
Oh, okay.
uses a bad guy. Yeah. No, but so he directed this movie, right? And it kind of already got off to a bad start whenever they started out because his first choice, for the main role couldn't be in his movie because he was already working on a different movie. So he took his second choice and they went out to the jungle to film in the rainforest in South America, which sounds like, hey, this is going to be awesome. But his second choice ended up getting sick, almost right off the bat. They started filming a little bit. He got sick. Being out in the Amazon, pretty easy to do with all the critters out there. So it already started off bad. Got delayed. But that's a good thing because he ended up getting the actor he wanted. The actor he wanted hates his guts. Absolutely hates his guts. And the thing is, what's really funny is he hates his guts in return. So that doesn't sound like the start of a beautiful friendship.
They already hated each other before this?
They've worked with each other and they were extremely cruel with each other.
Then why would they want to work together again? Why did either of them agree?
Because they created some good works. There's a lot of different movies, especially this one. He ended up with this collaboration. It was the tell. Real quick, I'll go over what it's about. Some Spanish conquistadors, going to El Dorado. Well, he wanted to kind of have that kind of feel of being taken out of your element and going somewhere where you don't know really what's going on. But so the story is the main actor is playing a man who wants to make money with a banana plantation, but he has to get his boat across a mountain range. And so that's kind of where the trouble starts too with a lot of the production, that the director puts it in his mind that he wants to see a boat be pulled across, and this is based off of a true story. The real guy didn't actually pull the boat across the mountain, but he wanted to see an actual big steam boat, metal boat, pulled across a mountain to another river. What do you think of that? Like, first, I want to hear your thoughts.
You mean he wanted like the real thing on film, basically?
He wanted to watch his production crew physically push a boat up and over a mountain.
Did he want that for the movie, like to film it as part of the movie?
Yes.
So he wanted it to be realistic, the scenes, basically.
Yes. He wanted a 60-ton boat. Hand pushed. They didn't have, tools like they had basic hand tools, but he didn't allow them to have like machinery or anything. This was taken back, back in the days of the banana plantations getting set up down there and becoming popular in the tycoons.
Bananas. Banana. So I have a few questions first of all, okay, before I jump to any conclusions, of course. So, first of all, if this is based on a true story, did in real life was there really a boat that was pulled across?
No. The real guy actually disassembled the boat and reassembled it on the other side.
Then why didn't he do that?
Because, again, the director, you just gotta... And that's the whole story. That's the whole reason why there's so much infighting in this whole story. Because between the director and his main actor, they had very different ideas of how the movie should go. And so, that's a good example. Another good example is he wanted, the actor wanted the character to be like a madman, right? Because like a wild madman being out in the jungle. But the director wanted him to be a little bit more, creepy, a little bit more like methodical to his craziness. He wanted to be quiet. Wanted him to be quiet and angry. So what he would actually do is purposely tick him off, make him mad. And in fact, there was a quote where even the natives were afraid of him, as it was said, because he would act like a crazy man because he was being driven insane by his director. Because that's how he wanted him to be. He wanted him to be tired, get all his temper tantrum out of the way, and then start filming and capture that. But it's just again the style of the director.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
And so what do you think? Would you have stayed and continued that job?
No, I would have been like, "You're going too far. I'm out of here, buddy. Like, let's do this, okay?" In real life, the real story is he disassembled the boat and then rebuilt it, right, on the other side. Why don't we stick to facts and do that? Because it actually sounds easier too. Now, I think the point the director is trying to make is it's more entertaining to see the boat dragged across over whatever, was it a mountain range or one mountain, or how is it portrayed?
Gladly, there was only one mountain in the way, and actually I was wrong. I believe I said 30 ton. Yeah, that was a misquote. Guess how much. So it wasn't 30 tons. I'll leave you room to guess.
30 and a half.
Nope. More.
31.
More. Way more.
31 and a half.
320
Oh.
tons.
Yeah, you forgot a zero.
Yeah, I forgot a zero at the end.
That's a big boat. It's a Titanic of the land.
Yeah,
apparently.
absolutely. And so I mean, and that's kind of like this whole story is between the struggle of the director and his actor, and they even threatened each other. It went on to say, and I'm reading in the Vintage News, by the way, to quote, "We're not big fans of one another, and even threatened each other with murder. They wanted to kill each other." Here it says, after several months of filming in tougher and tougher conditions, and this is regards to Roberts, the guy who originally got sick and had to leave. He ended up having dysentery.
The original actor who would have played
right
the character.
He ended up having dysentery and had to leave the movie completely. Like if that tells you anything of how this started out.
Yeah, so really tough production. Director's being a little crazy and out there. He wants this boat to be dragged across. As I mentioned, I think his point is it's more entertaining, right? It's more of a movie. If you have something like that where you drag that boat across the mountain or over the mountain, I think it would get more people to watch, maybe. I think that's his idea. But why did he want it to be raw footage, as if these people had to literally drag this boat or push it, I don't know, to the other side?
Well, because it was the mindset, right? He even threw around the idea of using models, but as we'll go into a little bit later about his ideas of film and the industry, it wasn't believable to him. It wasn't real.
You mean he was gonna have real supermodels push the boat? That's crazy.
Yep.
It's like, it reminds me of that scene in SpongeBob with the Alaskan bullworm, where Patrick suggests that they push the city.
Yep.
Somewhere else.
Yep.
We should take Bikini Bottom and push it somewhere else!
I mean, and that's about as well as it worked out too in the movie. I mean, and so and talking about supermodels to push the boat, they were actually going to use some of the natives as participants, but there's obviously some concerns, some distrust. This wasn't at the height of protection laws and labor laws or anything like that for film yet either, but there was more than that, coming from America. In fact, there was a tribe that came and raided them. In fact, there was a complete attack where one of the production crew members, he had an arrow hit him in the throat, somehow surviving, and this is a quote, hit in the stomach, necessitating 8 hours of emergency surgery on a kitchen table. I assisted by illuminating the abdominal cavity with a torchlight, and my other hand sprayed with repellent the clouds of mosquitoes that swarmed around the blood.
Yummy.
Oh, yes, Daddy.
And it just continued piling up. At one point, a logger took the drastic step of chainsawing his foot off to deal with a snake bite. So,
And these are all the natives?
No, these are just some of the production crew.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. I wonder why they didn't quit. Is that the only job they could get?
They were told to push the boat up the mountain or die by gunpoint by the director.
So he threatened with murder, and he's
Threatened.
still alive. He's still not in jail.
He says, "I live my life or I end my life with this project." That's how determined he was.
Wow.
I mean, you gotta respect his drive. You know, there's not
Yeah.
a lot
Well,
of people like him.
I don't know. I mean, do you respect Hitler's drive?
True.
Das war ein Befehl! Der Angriff Steiners war ein Befehl!
I mean, there's a lot of negative legacy there, but they did end up finishing the movie. I mean, it's out. You can go see it.
Oh, really?
Mhm. Yep. Everybody's
Is it good?
It's not for everybody. I'll say that. It is definitely an epic, though. It's not, to Avatar's proportions, but it is definitely an epic. I mean, this director, it goes into, further detail. I'm gonna go into further detail of what this kind of guy is, right? So
Sure.
we know he's tough because he's made this movie. He put his production crew through all kinds of terrible stuff. Would you believe it that he's been shot before mid-interview?
He was what? Say that again?
Shot mid-interview.
Do you have proof of this?
In Germany, I've somehow left the paved road. Mm-hmm. Nobody cares about my films. For example, what was that?
We quickly realised that some wacko had taken a pot shot at us with an air rifle, and Herzog had been hit.
So this literally just happened when we were standing outside there,
camera.
and there was a noise, and it was a whiz, and you just said, "I've been shot." Look, you're bleeding.
I think here somewhere. Yeah.
Look, somebody shot at you and created a wound in your abdomen.
It's not significant.
Yeah, here on OpenCulture.com, it even says headline: Werner Herzog gets shot during interview, doesn't miss a beat.
Gets shot with what? A water balloon?
I'll get into it.
A water gun? What happened?
So, he discovered that LA has a little danger going for it. During an interview with BBC critic Mark Kermode, the filmmaker took a shot from an unknown gunman armed with an air rifle. So I don't know. It doesn't say if he was shot with like a BB gun, because an air rifle is pretty broad. And in the States, I don't know if a lot of people know this or not, but in the United States, an air rifle isn't considered a firearm. But people, they go up to 50 cal in size. And that's relative, up down to a BB gun. So he might have been just shot with like a BB gun and been fine. But he was shot.
Wow.
And he
Who
says,
shot him?
Unknown. Nobody knows.
Wow. Got away with murder.
And he says he shrugged off the bullet, simply saying, "It was not a significant bullet. I'm not afraid." And so they just relocated and continued the interview.
You know what I would have done? Because I'm cooler. I would have taken the bullet and I would have eaten the bullet. And I would have said, "I eat these for breakfast." And then I would have spit it back out towards the guy so fast, I would have gotten him back. Game over.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Well, I mean, to each their own. To each their own.
Well, what would you have done? Let's say you were in the situation, you're getting interviewed. Someone shoots you, same weapon, same everything. How would you react?
Probably not. I've shrugged it off. Well, I don't know. I would have to be. Let me put myself in that situation, right? I'm thinking Braden is holding an air rifle.
No, not me. Let's say it's an unknown. Let's say it's
Okay.
different. It's different.
Okay, we're outside, because you have to be interviewed and get shot at.
And you're getting interviewed for this podcast by a BBC critic or a BBC reporter.
Okay. Let me think. And I get shot, right? With an
But
an
you
air
don't know
rifle.
who. You don't know who.
I don't
You don't
know
know who it is.
I guess I would just meme it and just say, "'Tis but a scratch," and then go inside.
Halfway through the interview.
Yeah, "'Tis a flesh wound," and I'd go in, be like, It's probably one of my old production crew members.
Well, I'm
still
sure
mad
it
about
was.
my.
Is that the theory? Is that the theory that's who it was? One of the
There's no
production
actually
members?
ongoing theory as to who it was, but you know what? Let's make up our own theory right now. I mean, I would say that it would have been.
Oh,
It
okay.
wasn't. I know it wasn't the main actor because I forget his name.
Klaus. His name was Klaus.
Klaus. He died in 1991, so it wasn't him.
Wait, when was the interview?
The interview was 2011, 2006.
2006. So theory number one,
Mhm.
it was a crew member from the movie Fitzcarraldo, or any other movie he could have made.
Literally any other movie that he's directed.
So that's one. Theory number two, the actor who died in 91 hired a hitman to shoot him exactly 15 years after he died. He said, "Look, man, I'm paying you this money, but you know what? Your job that you have to do, you don't have to do it for another 15 years after I die, all right? But at 15 years after I die, I want you to shoot this man, but I don't want you to kill him. I want you to scare him, okay? And if he doesn't get scared, I don't know what you're going to do. I don't know. But if he gets scared, I want you to finish the job because he's weak and he doesn't deserve to live." So 15 years. So that's why from 1991 to 2006, 15 years, right on that day.
Entirely possible.
Attempted scare-aside. No, attempted shoot-aside.
Shoot aside. Cyanide. Oh my gosh.
So I like that theory, but are there any other possible theories?
I don't know. Oh, you know what? It might have been the director of The Mandalorian. Actually, no, it couldn't have been because The
Way
Mandalorian
ahead
is
of
recent.
15 years before. So, okay, I have another theory.
Oh, brother!
Go ahead.
This is a little far-fetched, but I think it's extremely plausible. So Werner Herzog directed a movie, a documentary actually, shortly before this interview, it seems like, I believe, because he directed the documentary Grizzly Man.
Mm-hmm.
You've heard of the movie?
Mm-hmm.
It's a documentary about this guy and his girlfriend, I believe. I might be getting this wrong. They were obsessed with bears, and they set up a camera to film their encounters with these bears, these grizzly bears. Unfortunately, they left the lens on the camera in this specific situation, but they ended up getting absolutely destroyed, him and his girlfriend, and you can hear everything on the recording.
You looking bear! Will you get off me?
All the screams and the horror and things you would never even imagine unless you were to imagine a horrific grizzly bear attack on someone's life. But I know in the documentary, Werner Herzog, he listens to the audio because it's considered locked, like no, it's not released to the public. So very few people have heard this audio because it's so horrific and it's sensitive, right? Sensitive information that the family does not want to be leaked out. But he was able to listen to it, and you can see in this movie, even though he's the director, he's basically having himself filmed listening to the audio. And he was going to put the audio in, or parts of it in the documentary, but he decided against it. I believe, I could be wrong. But you can just see his reaction to the audio. You can't hear anything really, but you can hear. You look at his reaction, and it's. I don't know how to describe it. It's like he's listening to the most horrible thing ever. And this guy made people try to drag a boat over a mountain. So you can imagine how horrible, that sounds. The whole recording, the audio recording. But I believe that it's the bear that's the subject of this documentary that attempted to shoot him.
That's a stretch even for you, Brayden. Wait. So was this bear trained?
No. I'm saying because it's not really one specific bear. that the movie is about. It's just about the guy, the Grizzly Man, who's supposed to be this grizzly bear whisperer kind of deal, where he's not afraid of them, but he should be now because he's dead of them. So he
Tends to put a damper in things. Yeah.
yeah. Well, it's the movie's about him, but it's also about grizzly bears, and I think that in reality, it's probably just a huge misunderstanding, and the grizzly bear was just trying to give him a hug, and it went a little too far. And then the girlfriend sees what happens, and he has to cover it up. She's the witness. So now his life's over. The bear's life is over. But now you got this documentary about the bear, this murdering bear, supposedly, even though it was probably manslaughter. This bear that's murdered these two people. Now it's getting out to the more people of what he's done. So I believe he's upset about that. And so I believe that he attempted to scare Werner Herzog.
Right, and bears can't buy firearms. That makes a lot of sense, actually.
How does that make sense?
Well, because you would have to get a hunting. You have to go through a hunting course to be able to buy a firearm. You have to be over 18, and I mean, it's just very difficult to get a firearm. There's background checks, and how do you run a background check on a bear? It's a lot easier to get an air rifle, I would say.
I see your point.
You could order it online.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. I bet you the bear got it confused with a real gun because he's not very smart.
Exactly.
And he shot him, and Werner's like, yeah. And then the bear's like, oh, my goodness, this guy's Superman. I'm never doing this again.
Yeah. If you think about it, a bear's aim wouldn't be that great either, so you wouldn't be able to shoot him in the throat like the Indians shot that other guy.
Yeah.
So I mean, it all adds up. I mean, this is becoming a really good theory, Braden. The more you think about it.
I hope I become famous because of it. I think it's genius. I think I should be a detective, but the police haven't called yet, and I'm afraid to call 911. So, any other stories behind the scenes of this movie, or was it just pretty much you could sum it up as a train wreck?
Yeah, you could just pretty much sum it up as a train wreck. They ended up, finishing the movie, and it's something that both the actor and the director were quite proud of. But it was obviously blood was spilt in the making of that movie, for sure.
Yes, blood was spilled. Yes, so sounds like a fun movie to be a part of, and I can't wait to remake it in honor of Werner Herzog and his lovely bear. So, anything else you want to share with us, Logan?
Yeah, actually. So, I mean, he's a tough guy, right? So, he would probably stand up to anybody, you would say, right?
Okay, yeah, sounds like it. Even a bear.
Even a bear. Even his own director. Even the bear that is Jon Favreau. The guy who made, who pretty much started the whole MCU with Iron Man. Was
Iron
successful.
Man.
Yeah,
Iron Man, Iron Man 2, he plays Happy Hogan, who's in the Spider-Man movies as well. He was in the movie Rudy. He was an actor, director, and he's a pretty big name. I mean, he's done Jungle Book now, the remake. So, big shot here.
And one of his latest projects being The Mandalorian, which, is a great spaghetti western, spaghetti western take on Star Wars, and I really enjoyed it. And if you remember, he's the employer for the Mandalorian. He's the Imperial employer who pays him to find the child. A lot of people call him Baby Yoda. It's not Baby Yoda. It's the same species. Nobody knows the name of it, but we won't get into that. My nerd is coming out, but I'll put it away.
Baby Yoda.
But no, I mean, he really liked, he was also a big fan. Werner was a big fan of that puppet, because it is a puppet, right? You could tell it's a puppet. It's not CGI.
It's a thick boy.
It's very physical. In fact, they were thinking about doing a take without the puppet, just so they could see how it would look in CGI. If they did everything, not everything, but if they did that specific character in CGI. And he got upset. Werner got very upset. He called them cowards. And something real quick as well. He didn't even read the script whenever he joined the show. Like, he just was like, "Yeah, I'm in."
Why? Why?
Because he was like, look, I don't have to know about the script. He knew about Jon Favreau's record of being a good filmmaker, and just having the idea of an epic. In fact, he had never seen any of the Star Wars movies before joining the show. He just knew what the main idea was going to come across. He was going to be a villain. He knew that, and he was like, I'm in. I want to be a villain. I play it very well. In fact, you read more about this guy and you find out he hasn't watched a lot of movies. In fact, he tends to not. Oh, he goes, what are you doing? Whenever they're trying to remove the puppet for the clean shot. And they explained that to him, and he says, you are cowards. Leave it. Leave it. And he even says that he remembers laughing because he was so committed. And Favreau said it was so awesome. And I mean, he was actually upset. He was visibly upset. And he wanted that puppet to be there for the world building. And I think for one, that it ended up working out very well. I think that show, if they started adding like random CGI characters, it wouldn't have, the baby being so physical, so real, plays a big part in it.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. I think that was a good call by him. I mean, that shows his wisdom and veteranship. I don't know if that's a word, but I made it a word, and it shows he's got experience, and he won't let CGI take over. He still believes in practical effects. I'm surprised he didn't make them drag the puppet over a mountain, though.
Dude, they should have dragged the Mandalorian ship across, the Antarctic.
They should have made him do it so he knows how it feels.
Well, I'm just glad that he's not my grandfather, my father, or, I'd like to hang out with him.
Or your captain, your ship captain.
Not my ship captain, no. You never know where you're going to end up with him. No, but that's all I had for today. An interesting story, a wild ride. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Interesting character, director, whatever. Oh, I was going to say, I actually saw an article very recently, this week, actually, that mentioned that his role in Mandalorian, him acting, made him realize that acting itself for him distracts him, takes away from his true passion, which is being a director, filmmaking, right? So he decided to put that on hold now. Ever since this role in The Mandalorian, he's decided to focus more on directing again now.
Yeah, I mean, you could tell with his determination. He's the type of person who likes things the way he likes them. It's my way or the highway kind of guy. So I think that's better for him, anyways. He's definitely a eccentric, very driven, and very sees the big picture kind of guy.
Yeah, I like big pictures. Mm-hmm.
Oh, I bet you do.
The bigger, the better. All right, so I think that'll wrap-a-doodle it up.
Just in time for my bedtime.
Is it really? It's the middle of the day here. What's wrong with you?
Dude, I'm going to take a nap.
Okay, it's time for your nappy time. Got it. I do want to say good morning to those listening at night. Yet it's going to be morning soon, so I'm way ahead of you. And good afternoon to those listening in the morning, but shortly afternoon, if that makes sense. It does not. Good evening to those listening that during that time where you need to start thinking about dinner, you got to start getting your prep work ready. So you people, I love you. And good night.